Hello, my name is Olympia Perez, and I am part of the movement building team here at Sylvia Rivera Law Project.
And I am Lala. I'm the community organizer at the New York City Anti-Violence Project. I marched because it's important. For one, for me being a trans woman of color that is still here, it is important to everyone that has came before me to make it possible for me to even be able to be participating in the march. It's important for me to march for all of my sisters that I've lost. It's important for me to be visible for other youth. For me, that's the only event I really like. Because once you get to Manhattan Pride, it's not that same feel. It's more marchy and everyone's partying in the streets, but that moment's like a revolution to me. It's like a moment. We have speakers, like we take over the pier, somewhere that's like really historic, and like march up the street. And it's like the momentum and the energy is different from Manhattan Pride on Sunday. And that's like the only one event that we actually have that is set aside for us.
The Pride Parade, what is supposed to commemorate Stonewall and sort of symbolize our liberation, has been whitewashed and gay-washed. And when that happens in a movement, it becomes so dangerous for people of color and black people in that movement. While you're participating, you are criminalized just being part of the event. And that is something that you shouldn't be subjected to when you're here celebrating who you are. And Trans Day of Action, the parade, the march, everything that happens and goes down that day, I think is a symbol of transcendence, transcending adversity. The march, like Lala said, it's so different because not only are you walking around, there is a platform set for you to name the points of unity, for you to name what we're fighting for, what we're walking towards. I think it is just so critical that we have that space highlighting, amplifying our experiences as marginalized trans people, poor and low-income people of color here in New York City. So I think the march, it symbolizes and it says to the world, I am here.
It's very interesting like when you have these conversations because it's like, it's been the same issues for so long. And so I believe that we know the issues, and I think over like between last year and this year that we've come together so strong as a community where we're not asking anymore. Mm-hmm. Like we know what we want. We're mapping out what we want and we're making it happen amongst our own community. And it's very like setting a tone like either you can get with this movement because this is going to happen with or without you. So I feel like that has been like our community shift, like we're pulling together more so than we ever have. Like we're pulling together with like social media and just the people that we have that are power players in this movement. Then as before, a lot of us live in stealth, a lot of us were afraid, or a lot of us just like, you know what, I'm gonna leave it alone, we're tired of fighting. I think that now it's like we know what we want and we're like blasting it and putting it out there like these are the issues, you know these issues, what are you going to do with the issues? As well as there has been a lot of strives as well. So I believe that we have to talk about the good and the bad, you know? So I just wish from this movement that there would be more trans people from like all over, like wanting to come here. Like they come here from Manhattan Pride. Manhattan Pride is cute. Trans people need to like come in the bus loads and the train loads, like for train, like pack that pier so we won't have to be on the pier anymore. Like we go to the pier, but we're taking over that whole block. Like I would like to see it just evolve to something so big that globally everyone would want to be a part of Trans Day of Action.
The march speaks to like the violence that is enacted in our bodies here in New York City by the police themselves. The people who are here to protect us, I feel like it speaks volumes to the idea and the constant erasure that we are fighting against.
There's no really any safe haven for trans people really to want to go to school, or they feel like they can't go to school, or they go to school and they are ran away from the school. So they don't have any support in the school. If you don't have any support in the school systems, then what's going to happen? So you're struggling with how can I survive, where am I going to sleep at night? You're struggling with employment. You know, it's really hard for trans people to get jobs. it's really, really hard for trans people to get jobs, as well as healthcare. You know, so many trans people deal with so much dysphoria just because they will never have the healthcare that they need to be able to feel complete or to feel like who they are, because there's no access to it, you know. And so that also is another oppression on top of that, because if you don't feel good about yourself, then how can you get up, you know, and go look for a job and go about your day-to-day life if you feel I can't go out and deal with the world because of these things. You know, the school systems is like a start. You know, when I was going to school, I learned everything trial and error. So many things have happened now. Why aren't they teaching the children about trans experiences in school?
Well, to add to what you were saying about like just the school system and growing up in the school system, and I just remember like having teachers remind me or tell me not to step out of the binary box with like, oh, stop being a sissy, why don't you just man up, why are you walking with a twitch? And like there's a real learning curve that presents itself for trans and gender nonconforming people in school at a very early age, when you are taken away from your classroom.
We can say this incident of violence happened, but we're not talking about systems to use to address the violence, to change the violence.
So, girl, what you doing this Friday, June 26th?
I'm going to be at the pier.
Why are you going to the pier?
Trans Day of Action.
And what's Trans Day of Action?
The #1 pride event in Manhattan. Down. What do you mean? Just be on the pier or be square?